Hey guys, I hope you're well. I thought I'd do another quick video since the video I released yesterday with the 5-month update. I've had a few questions asking me about the type of dry shampoo that I use. I think it's quite a cheap alternative really to using hair fibres. Nothing wrong with hair fibres, it's just I've got dry shampoo in the cupboards and I find that it can often have a similar effect for not much money really. So I'll show you what dry shampoo I use. I'm going to wet my hair first and then you can see it when it's wet as well, because that's one thing I haven't done yet in any of my updates. And then I'll show you the dry shampoo I use and hopefully the effect it can give, so you've got an idea of whether you think it's worth it or not if you are looking for something similar. So this is my hair wet. As you can see, there's still lots of really thin patches, and it's important to recognise that with a hair transplant you're not gaining any extra hair. They're simply redistributing the hair that you already have into different places. So they do it in such a way to create an illusion of density, not necessarily more density. I hope that kind of makes sense. So there's no more hair that you have. They're simply just moving it from the back of your hair to the top, to the top. And because, like with me, my hair was quite thin anyway, and there was a fair bit of coverage required, it's never going to be super thick. But this is how it looks anyway. It certainly looks better than it did a few months ago, but it's not super thick. And to be honest, I'm stood right in front of a window, so the lighting is probably the worst it's going to be in any other situation. So if I step back a little bit, you know, here it looks a lot better. But yeah, so hopefully you can see that all right. If I brush it forward, and again you can see there's still quite a bit missing there. It's quite sparse. But again, when it's dry, and I'll dry it now, yeah, for me there's quite a big difference. You can sort of hide all manner of sins sometimes in the way you style it. So what I tend to do, and I'll just stand in front of the mirror for this, but I sort of tend to push my hair in together to sort of cover it up a little bit, just as the hair's growing out. I mean, I'm hoping that with the transplant that there'll be more hairs coming through as the months progress. The hairline already looks a hell of a lot better, and what I'm told is that you'll see more of an effect further back as time goes on. That being said, most of the grafts, I had 4,000 grafts, most of them were placed in sort of the frontal area, so I would expect that to be the thickest. And then as we sort of go back, there were sort of less and less grafts. But yeah, as you can see, sort of as it's dried, it looks already better. Anyway, I'll move on. So the point obviously of this video was to show how I use dry shampoo, and the one I use at the moment is called Wow Brunette from Phil Smith. I think I picked it up in Sainsbury's or Tesco, something like that. I find some of the own brand ones, Tesco's, Superdrug, Sainsbury's, that type of thing, work absolutely fine. They're the cheapest and seem to do the job. I've got one of the more sort of premium brand ones as well. I did buy a Batiste one, which in fairness I found it leaves quite a lot of dark residue on your actual scalp, which I find can look a little bit unnatural. It's not a replacement for shampoo. It doesn't do any, I don't think it has any cleaning properties, but what it does do is stop your hair from becoming so greasy using powder. But it can act as a way to thicken your hair, I find, if you've got particularly thin hair. And as we're growing out our transplanted hair, we kind of need all the help we can get for the first few months. So yeah, and you don't need to put loads of it on either, so I'll just shook the bottle. So as you can see, it's kind of a light powder, and because it's brunette, the powder's slightly brown, and that's what essentially gives you the coverage. So as I've brushed that down into my head, it sort of just hides some of the bolder spots. Just make sure you don't spray it directly onto the scalp, spray it onto the hair, and then naturally some of the residue will fall down onto the scalp. But again, going back to my sort of window and bright light, even then, you know, it's still, you can still see bits of it, but it's a hell of a lot better. But I will put some of the Batiste one on there as well, just so you can sort of see what it is like. So you can see there it's a hell of a lot darker, which is good. I suppose if you put it behind the hairline, it does a really good job. But what I have found, I don't know if you can see it, but it does show up a lot more on your scalp. But yeah, I suppose even this, if you've got quite dark hair, then it can be quite useful. And again, going back to the light now, you know, that's a hell of a lot more coverage than what it was before. So, you know, if you're in that situation where you're sort of at that awkward stage of your hair transplant where your hair's starting to come through, but it isn't quite there yet, then this might just be a decent alternative until your new hair comes through. But there we go. Hope that's useful. Again, thank you for all the support, really. It's good for me to look back and see what the progress is, and to sort of reassure me that this process is working how it should. But if you've got any questions or comments, and please put them below. And likewise, if there's anything that you think, yeah, you know, it would be interesting to have this covered, then let me know. So talk to you guys in the next month update. Talk to you soon.